2. Mr. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. Re. Sovereignty at issue, war and peace. Congratulations on the rescue of 3 hostages from North Korea. It was a splendid achievement. Would you be able to rescue Ms. Join High Park, President of SK, likewise? We have pleaded to you for this since last year. Remember, I asked you to visit her in the jail last November when you were visiting South Korea, and I made welcoming remarks for you in Seoul. President Park is still the legitimate. I heard she is suffering from a terminal illness after long torturous persecution and imprisonment by the witch-hunting of demised judicial system. She is in essence a victim of war crime, a POW, and of atrocious human rights violation. There is no chance of normal release foreseen in her life, except by a diplomatic or military rescue mission. Whichever, we do not mind. Please do address this issue before you have resolved the NK denuclearization issue. Why is this seemingly domestic issue the supreme concern for Koreans in relation with your role in Asia? You will see it here and below. Providing either a simple exodus or asylum, you will be able to more comfortably negotiate with NK on the weapons issue, that is, with the help of True Rock. You will also remove possibilities of betrayal and stabbing on the back by the nerdy regime in the South. That regime is destined and desperate to follow the NK mandate because their lives are held up at their stake. Ultimate purpose of NK regime. The ultimate goal of the ruling aristocrats of NK is to conquer SK, not necessarily to provoke you for a nuclear war. They are not capable of fighting with you. They have ulterior purpose of getting rich by surrendering arms. Denuclearization is a conduit negotiating tool for byproducts of wealth of SK and removal of U.S. troops from the peninsula. It will wage unification war after dismantlement of nuclear facilities and withdrawal of U.S. Army. It would be naive to believe that a true peace will be realized through termination of the war. As we warned you, there has been no such thing as peace after peace pact. On the contrary, it has invariably ended in a new and elevated war. Mistakes may repeat. NK has nothing to lose by insisting on the ending of the Korean War. They think they have done the war already by grabbing the police power of the South through their puppet espionages. Just as they say they no longer need to test nuclear, they will say that they have already won the war and therefore can agree to terminate it, as long as you pay enough ransom. Nerdy regime in the South has already committed to pay enormous ransom. They succeeded in destroying the sovereignty of the Republic of Korea by a judicial fraud of Mach 10, 2017, entirely manipulating it in conspiracy with the rebels in the South. They are now settled with the notion that they have accomplished the long-coveted unification by communism. They now continue to work on complete amalgamation by taking away land and property and lives of people, overtly swearing to remove millions of people in the South. They are currently in the process of changing constitution and national identity to that of a communist nation. Attacks on free market system are going on and conglomerates may be siphoned off to the north eventually. If this is not a blackmailing of a terrorist, what else would there be? The Republic of Korea is what your predecessors caused established in the peninsula, shedding bloods and losing lives of enormous number of young Americans. It is a commonplace experience these days to meet Korean War veterans on the streets and in the villages of America, all concerned about the safety of the land and people for which they once risked their lives. We all know that Korean Pressgate persists throughout the aftermath of fake impeachment show, false election process and then unauthorized peace talk with NK, and you are relentlessly deceived by the propaganda-driven newscasts day and night. The press is in reality the major enemy of Korea as well as U.S. Misconceptions and conjectures are prevailing. You know it too well. It is daily life now to wake up in the morning listening to hollow praises and heroisms of greatest chairman, Kim Jong-un. True intent. On the road to complete unification with false promises, however, the northern regime aims to gain as much as possible from you. Their gradual schedule of dismantlement of nuclear arms and other surreptitious revolutionary mechanisms will delay your possible military action, and in the meantime, they will complete the war by putting the entire South Korea in a firm grip. With fewer people to feed after massacres, more wealth built up by ransom and your recognition of it as an ally. Now then, would you rather give up the rock and encourage NK to play go-between with China? It is time to look at Vietnam and the Philippines. Repeating history will be of no fun. Look at the Couture-Taft secret memorandum through which your predecessors agreed to let Japan to rule over Korea in 1905. What happened as the result? You lost Korea in 1910 and had to fight the World War I and II to get it back as shattered in anarchism in 1945. It took 3 years to gain sovereignty for Korea, albeit only half of it. Do you think you can forget about it? Do you think it fits in the America First policy? Your true intent is different. It is embodied in the eternal U.S.-Korea Mutual Defense Agreement, which is meant to safeguard Korea as vital part of the entire Asian region. It is the only military pact you have in Asia. Would you dispense with it? War and peace, not peace and war. The Korean War never ended, particularly in the minds of NK leaders. It will not end until all the parties cease to fight. It will continue to fight until after U.S. troops are withdrawn, after a peace agreement is signed, after another aches in line, 1950, might be declared, and if and when another Mao or Stalin orders. South Koreans unfortunately fail to realize how they are in a state of war, mainly due to the press gate and intoxication by indoctrination. To them, the sun will also rise tomorrow. NK aristocrats believe that true peace will come by annihilating the South. Peace agreements in the world were abundant, but, other than UN perhaps, there is no single bilateral or regional pact that carried out its own promises. Under the law they were all breached, some from the outset, others later. It is because the parties could never have a genuine meeting of minds. It is germane to human nature, Mr. Trump. Is it not? Kim resorts to Chinese Xi Jinping for the shelter now, as his grandfather begged for the order of the war to Stalin of Russia. The Korean War would not have initiated by the Kim family, unless the grandpa completed for peace after war and the two giants stupidly believed in it. It does not sound consistent to say, let us not fight, while you beat the enemy's nose. By definition, a war cannot be agreed to be ceased. It can only be won by one party and be declared ended. Promise to end war is not a promise. Better educated people in Korea are not afraid of a war anymore, if it is the war you are engaged in. True Koreans will hate to see you fight with Kim and his clans on the ring they set up. To avoid it and to alleviate clear visions of continuing war, that is, unification by communism, you should never enter into a sham agreement. For South Koreans, peace will mean the one coming after killing field and boat people. It is exactly what Kim avowed wildly in the past. Priority of controlling puppet regime to PVID of NK. You have been head by the conniving rebels several times already. Now you have multiple reasons for removing or putting them under tight control. They are simply unreliable in their conducts and are prone to commit treasons on a daily basis. If you would like to control or remove them, however, you would do so before they can interfere with you any further. Nerds will not play good middlemen anyway. They would disrupt normal paths and keep building protective shields for your enemy. You would remove an obstacle first, if you would like to see the target straight. You should by now clearly understand that the current regime in the South does not constitute a legitimate government. The sovereignty was taken away by force when the false impeachment proceeding ended in firing the president with no guilt proven. Presidential election by itself was staged with no authority. The election process was illegal as well. A true election set by law subsequently was prevented by propaganda and indoctrination. All of the mishaps were conducted by the incumbent regime in concert with the NK regime. Further, there are growing innuendos charging the head rebel for direct involvement in the internet falsifications during the revolution process, including impeachment and election, and surprisingly for the sudden death of a former president. Current situation? The nation is in the state of anarchy. There is no sovereignty held by the rebels' regime. They have no right to tell you to leave. The regime does not represent the rock. The betrayal by the regime of your bona fide intent of cooperation should not be considered as genuine intent of the true ROC. You should be extra cautious not to lose the war after you won the battles. Bear in mind that no one is rightfully representing SK before you. Only chaos and anarchy exist. Elections of June should not be held. ROC may disappear. June election is set to carry out the federation scheme handed down to the regime and change of identity to a communism nation as instructed by NK. Your action is anticipated much earlier, so it may effectively be pushed off. In the event of your possible removal or expatriation of the current regime from the South and rescue of the true President Park, you will be more praised than criticized by the world opinion as the world now gets to know the truth and justice, thanks to the ongoing campaigns by the rightists. Nobel Prize for Your Excellency? I doubt that you would be interested in it, but there are mixed sentiments as it has been awarded to some corrupted leaders as well. If you remove blackmailing elements from the South, you will be assured of many worthwhile medals of peace. But again, peace does not come by agreements. It will be here after the war has ended in due course. So much for today, but we truly admire your discerning power with wisdom to save the world order and in particular the U.S. supremacy of the 21st century. We uphold U.S.-Korea Mutual Defense Agreement. We also uphold America First policy. Someone in our organization suggested ROC to be the 52nd state of the U.S. Our client corporation, Sovereign Korea, will last in operation legitimately until such time as a provisional government may be permitted to replace the fake and unauthorized rebel regime in the peninsula. The goals include 1. Recovery of sovereignty and judicial system. 2. Educational programs. 3. Diplomatic relations, and 4. Public relations. Very truly yours, Sudiok Jang, Attorney at Law, International Lawyers Forum on behalf of Sovereign Korea.